Hello and welcome to the Gaming Zone. As usual, I'm your host Chriz, aka The Mole. Joining us from the X Pound, fellow gamer, Geekygirl15.
Hey, how's it going?
The CEO, James Phoenix.
Yellow.
The COO, Marcus Shadow.
Get your game on.
And the reddest person you will ever meet, Ultimate Red Mike.
Yo.
So, as everyone's grown up doing it, we all like Disney. We're all used to Disney stuff. We decided to review a Disney game, Epic Mickey, on Wii. First up, as usual,
Presentation.
kick us off with presentation. As this game is all about painting stuff in like some colours and stuff, why doesn't the guy with the username of a colour go first? Take us away, red guy.
Alright. Well, it does have some interesting scenery to it. Um but basically it was alright. It shows the Disney aspect of the cartoon factor for it. And I wow, drew a blank. Sorry. But yeah, it was very colorful, and I'm really liking it. I'm only like probably halfway through, but I enjoyed the colors and the cartoon aspect of it. It's really the presentation is very well done for me.
And I can agree with that. And now let's turn it over to the lady, James Phoenix.
Fuck you. I really enjoyed this game. I really liked it. I bought this game when I close to when it first came out. I have the Game Informer issue from many months ago when they first advertised it was coming out and showed some of the graphics, and I thought this is awesome. I want to play this game. So a little while after it came out, I did pick it up, and I have to say it's really very interesting, unique game, and especially in the presentation in terms of what they've done with the area known as the Wasteland where the game takes place, where it's the world, but it's a world warped, where some things are in color, some things are the color has faded and they're broken. There's things that are some things that look like a normal Disney World where it's all bright and cheerful, and then you turn your head like, or in this case your Wiimote pointer, like 2 feet to the right, and all of a sudden nightmare fuel. It's just such an interesting combination of everything. The graphics are very sharp. They're very good. All the characters look good. All the buildings look pretty realistic. They're cartoony, but they look good cartoony. I also approve of the presentation of the 2D levels, where it legitimately looks like you're in one of the old 2D Mickey cartoons. I approve of that. Little creatures like you're using different things as you know, they I don't know. I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but you get what I'm saying. It really looks really good. The combination of the colors, the way they present it as being this world that was once beautiful and is now, because of the disaster, quote unquote. It's all the thinner erased a lot of stuff, and the ink blot came, and how it was once a beautiful world and now it's destroyed. And they really convey that well through the imagery of all the levels, at least the ones I've seen so far.
And I can agree with that. And how about you, Marcus Shadow?
I have to agree with Jim in terms of the character presentations and stuff, and the world presentation. It looks really good. It looks cartoon, like Disney cartoon, but it looks like it's a mature Disney cartoon, if you will. It's more obviously geared toward a more mature audience, which is always good to see, especially for us because we're getting older. But
Some faster than others.
yes,
Speak for yourself, Grandpa.
One thing Jim did not mention, and I will, is the music in this game, specifically in the 2D segments. Like for instance, in the Steamboat Willie levels, where the background music is actually the theme song to Steamboat Willie. I think that's a nice touch where they take stuff like that and they put it in the game in the relevant areas. I also like the fact that they took something that not a lot of people think about in the real world here and realized that, yeah, this is happening. Let's make a game about it. And that is some of these old cartoon characters, these old, black and white only cartoon characters that aren't popular or common anymore in today's, high def society, high def colorized society. You know, people have forgotten about them. People don't watch them. And so they take that concept and they say, well, what happens to the characters? What would happen if the characters were real and the people all of a sudden didn't give a crap about them anymore? And I think it's kind of cool to see that. Kind of cool to see that they've created a world for themselves to live and to exist, a forgotten world. And the presentation conveys the feeling that this is a forgotten world, and these characters
Yeah.
are forgotten characters. And I think that's
Hmm.
a strong point of this game.
Yeah, just if I can probably just for those that are unaware, the entire basis of the game was in the fact that Disney finally got back the rights to the character of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, the first cartoon creation of Walt Disney, whom he lost rather quickly after the company he was working for fired him and claimed that they own the rights to the character and not him. So that's why the game is based on the fact that Oswald was the first forgotten character, which is why he's King of the Wasteland, and it's what inspired the Disney creators to make the game.
Yes. And thank you for that, Marcus and James. And now, Geeky Girl.
Alright, well, I got a bunch of things in this game I really, really like, and other things not so much, so I'll just mention my favorite ones first. First of all, the most favorite thing I like in this is the 2D cartoon cutscenes. They're the best thing I think about this game. I'd honestly just like a video of all the cutscenes from this game and put onto like a thing, and I'll just watch that. Another really good thing I like is the 2D levels, transition levels. You go from point A to point B. You have to go through a level that's based on an actual cartoon from like long ago time period, and it's really fun. Music's great. You feel very immersed in the game. It's all good. And then when you get into your levels, the levels are very colorful, very unique. I like the level designs. I like the look of everything. Some things are paintable, some things are thinnable. You can mess with your environment a lot. The only thing I'd argue is the thinner might have an unfair advantage because it's so much easier to thin everything and make everything die than it is to paint everything.
But that
And
goes
I,
into the whole good versus evil type thing, where
yeah,
being good is not always easy. Doing the right thing means doing the hardest thing oftentimes, and that's what
that
I go for. I think they get it right
that
in this game.
could be argued too.
Yep.
Though I do like the effects of like when you're evil, you drip more and stuff, and you look all gross. But if you're good, you have like little blue helpers flying around you and stuff, and you don't look as freaky looking. That was always fun that they put that little thing in there. And like you said, Marcus Shadow, the story is like really awesome because I love Oswald. I knew about Oswald before this game came out, and I was always wondering what happened to him. And when they said this game had Oswald in it, I'm like, yes! And I thought he was gonna be the main villain, but he wasn't. But that's okay because we got to play as him or almost play as him because he's like be our best friend and stuff. Spoiler alert.
You get to play as him in the second game.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Indeed.
You do.
Can't wait.
Which I can agree with that. For me personally, with the presentation, I like and dislike it equally. I like how it looks. It looks awesome. They've done a load of small touches here and there, which are good. Like I love the reimagining of the characters for bosses, like Pete as a Tron villain. Big Tron fan here for me, as you may know from seeing my previous Tron review. That was awesome. I like that. However, the part I dislike is the concept art and the advertising for this game looked so much better than the game actually does. It looked much darker, much more grotesque, much more violent. And then it seemed like they, at the last second after they grabbed everyone's interest, well, Disneyfied it. I know it's kind of ironic for a Disney game to Disneyfy it,
Was
but
a
still.
thing that I read in Game Informer where they were gonna make Mickey look like everything was gonna be a lot darker, and when you use the thinner too much, it would not only make Mickey look darker, but like your environment by itself would look darker, even if you couldn't paint over it anymore, and it would just stay looking crappy. Like the original artwork for Mickey when he was completely like in this full level of thin was he literally grew and his nose extended, kind of almost like he werewolfified, and he kind of looked like a sewer rat from like New York City. That was supposed to be like the final transformation when you get thinned, but then a lot of the Disney people who want to Disney sugarcoat everything said we can't have our mascot ever look like that, so they took it out.
She just mentioned New York City. You didn't do it. Give her a cheap pop. What's wrong with you, James Phoenix?
Ah.
Has to be done. But let's move on to the next aspect, which is, of course, is
Gameplay.
yes. So as you saw there, that takes us to gameplay. And since she has played it the most, introducing gameplay first, Geeky Girl.
Well, the gameplay is probably just platforming, jumping. I'd say the controls are teeny tiny bit slippery, like almost like not noticeable, but some areas you can, if you're on a really thin platform, you might slip off. And camera control can also lead you to accidentally jump off to your death, which drives me insane. But otherwise, it's pretty good, and I like the double jump. Sometimes you may have to fuck around a bit and jump a whole lot to get to a platform, but most of the time you can usually get it to within your reach. So, and the game will take away control from you if something's really important and zoom up on it, so you hopefully won't get lost too much.
And now take us away, Marcus Shuttle.
All right. Well, expanding on what Geeky Girl said, it is your standard 3D platformer. You know, jumping from platform to platform, collecting collectibles and power ups and whatnot. Almost like a standard, I guess, Wii game. It's got your standard. You wiggle the Wiimote, and Mickey will do a spin attack. You know, I don't know why they put spin attack as your standard, Wii motion attack, but whatever. The one thing that holds this game back and that kind of kills the game is the one thing that kills about 95% of platformers ever made, and that's that damned camera.
Oh my god.
The camera's just terrible in this game. Oh my god. When you die in this game, I guarantee you 90 to 95% of the time you die, it's because of the camera. It's not because you suck. But the camera aside, the paint and thinning aspects are very good. It alludes to a morality play in this game, kind of similar to like Mass Effect and BioWare's games. But apparently, according to Geeky Girl over there, they decided to take a lot of that out, so it doesn't really affect much, which kind of sucks. Another thing I have to say about that, though, that kind of annoys me is when you go into a boss fight, you can always either use thinner on the boss or paint on the boss. And depending on how you defeat the boss, it'll raise that type of liquid, the amount you can hold of it. So if you beat it with paint, it increases your paint, which is fine. The problem is, I notice oftentimes, unless you're really paying close attention, when you try to paint something, you won't be able to tell that you're painting it. You can't tell that it's doing anything, which kind of annoys me. I'd like to know that I'm doing something to the boss.
I want good morality. Like, I want to use the paint, but I can't do it. Like, I don't think I'm doing anything or see any progress happening, so I always go for thinner during the boss fights, and I like paint. I paint 90% of the game, but paint doesn't work for me, or at least maybe I'm doing it wrong, or wrong angle or something for the bosses. It's too hard for me.
Yeah. So, but aside from that, the rest of the gameplay is pretty good. Like I said, standard, uh, uh, standard, gameplay mechanics for a platforming game. So it's pretty solid if you can get past the camera.
Okay, and James Phoenix.
Thank you. Hashtag I agree with Marcus Shadow and Geeky Girl. I think it's really interesting gameplay, and primarily in the fact that you do have your choice of paint and thinner to complete almost any task in the game, with your paint being controlled by the A button on your Wiimote, and the thinner being controlled by the B button on your nunchuck. And that, I think, is really a unique game aspect aside from the standard
Z button.
platforming. It's Z. I thought it was B. My man, Z button on the nunchuck, or Z for those of you on the Western Hemisphere. Um,
No, Canadians only said dead.
no, they got it from Europe.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's really unique in the fact that you had that choice of how to play through the game. Almost any task can be completed one of at least two ways, if not more, through whether it be paint or thinner. And that really gives a unique choice of you can play through the game you know, 15, 20 times, and again, and they would none of those playthroughs would be exactly the same unless you intentionally made it so. You could go through these repeated playthroughs and not play the exact same game every time because of your choices with the paint and thinner. And I think that's really cool how it not only affects your journey through the game, but also affects what prizes and collectibles you get as well. And
But go ahead, Geeky Girl.
I say paint and thinner aside, there's also like multiple ways to solve a quest. Like uh, Mo over here said uh, he gave the journal to someone else other than Pete or something, and Pete like wasn't really the villain, but like he could have been or something. Like he chose the bad morality over the good morality. So there's other ways to like solve the quest as well. Like, you still complete the quest and you still get your points, but
yeah, it just changes your gameplay. Like the example that Geeky Girl's talking about is in one of the levels you run into a version of Pete. There are many in the game, and he's a Pete who has a boat that he accidentally crashed in the Gremlin hometown village thing. And basically, he wants you to collect his journal from the boat to prove to the Gremlins that it was an accident and that he wasn't intentionally being a dick. And once you find the journal, you have the option of you have to show it to the one Gremlin to complete the mission. But then you can either show it to a second Gremlin who will take it and will give you a collectible pin for it, or you can hold on until the next level and actually give it to Pete. If you give it to that gremlin, when you get to the next area to face Pete, it'll actually be a boss fight where you're in a coliseum fighting a variety of enemies and attempting to climb to get out, making it much more difficult. Whereas if you chose not to give it to the gremlin and get the pin, Pete will be pleased with you that you proved his innocence, and he won't make you fight anybody. He'll just open the door and you can keep going. But anyway, yeah.
So yeah, since
But
we
yeah, so
have space here, I can interject. I would just like to say, in terms of with the painting and the thinning, I found it didn't really affect anything whether you chose to paint or thin a boss or something. Because the first time I went through the game, I ended up thinning the clock tower boss because, as I alluded to earlier, I couldn't tell if painting was doing anything to it. So I thinned the hell out of it and destroyed it. When I went through with you guys, I painted it and I found nothing really changed, and that kind of made me sad that they give you these moralistic choices, but those moralistic choices don't affect anything unless
Actually,
it's tied to a mission outcome.
actually,
actually,
Marcus, I
yes,
can
they
say
do.
it does, because in the example Geeky Girl and James Phoenix were giving, when I chose to destroy the book, I got locked in a coliseum full of bad guys trying
And
to
if you would
kill
have
me
let me
because Pete
finish
wasn't
instead of
around.
cutting me off, I said doing these moralistic choices don't do anything unless it's tied to a mission objective.
there's no permanent change. Like,
Actually, yes, there is. The change is actually in the ending because, from what I've read, there are a good number of different endings, and the number of endings is the ending you get is dependent upon your moralistic choices throughout the course of the game.
yeah, but Phoenix, but just you can change your morality 2 seconds before you get to that ending. Because all you have to do is load up your paint bar full of pink, or no, sorry, blue, before you get to the ending. And let's just say you've done evil the whole part through, and you think you'd get the evil ending. Oh, I don't want the evil ending. Okay, I changed my mind. I use the paint. I use the paint for the last 2 minutes of the game, and get my blue bar all the way up. I get the good ending. See, it's like, just like that.
Wow.
I can honestly say, from when I beat the game, the ending I got was neither good nor evil. I used both paint and thinner equally in that. I just went with, okay, this one I think I'll use paint. This one seems like I need to thin this. Like the guy that punched me in the face, yes, he must die. But yeah, but yeah, I did
Bar.
that, and essentially I got the ending. And the ending is, as the wizard's talking, he starts to show you the state of the bad guys in which you left them. And I see like the clock tower melted. I see, I see basically like Pete on his own in the Colosseum because he has no friends. But then Trumpy, who I saved, I see riding rides with people and being friendly with them. So the ending was different for me, and it seemed to take into account all the decisions I'd made.
And that's fine. Having the ending change is fine. I'm just saying, going through the game itself, it doesn't feel like doing these moralistic choices, choosing to thin or paint, really affects the game itself. It may affect the ending, but it doesn't affect your game experience. Which I think if you're going to have moralistic choices like this, you should have it not only affect the ending, but your game experience itself. And a great example of this is BioWare as a company as a whole. Because Mass Effect and the Knights of the Old Republic games did this damn near perfectly.
Like, if you decide to cheat on Liara in the Mass Effect 3, she will actually know and break up with you.
Yeah.
Then you can't use her anymore. So there, major change in gameplay.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like your choices have any consequence until the end of the game. And if what Geeky Girl says is true, even that doesn't fucking matter. Because you can choose what the hell you want to do 5 seconds before you fight the boss, which is like,
There you go.
then why have
It
the
all matters.
moralistic choice? It's
It all
pointless.
matters how full your bar is at the end. If it's full of green or blue.
Exactly.
But like I said with the end, I saw the end and it showed both negative and good things. Every little decision I'd made, it seemed to show for the bosses.
Yeah, there's about 6 or 7 specific things that show in the end cutscenes, depending on whether you did them or not.
Yeah, but continue as you were, James.
Yeah, so effectively, I just like the fact that you had the choices to do things a different way. Even if it didn't have much of an effect, it does give you more options in gameplay, and it can increase replayability because you want to go through the game and try the different ways of doing things just to kind of see what differences there are, and minimal as they may be. And so I think it's pretty cool in having that ability. In addition to obviously, the platforming and the annoyance of the camera, there's also some other aspects of the decisions of am I going to paint, am I going to thin, and integrating a lot of the Wiimote things rather than just base platforming. So I also think the 2D levels are great. They disable your paint and thinner, but it's good old 2D platforming, and I think the platforming there's a lot better than platforming in the rest of the game. And those
Yeah.
levels are awesome. And those levels remind me of the game Mickey Mania on SNES that I have and I love.
Oh, by the way, I just remembered another thing about the good and evil. Sometimes if you choose good or evil, you could actually get skipped out of a side quest because you were good or evil. Like how
True.
I couldn't do the telephone quest
This is
because
true.
I supposedly was bad.
And true. And now Ultimate Red Mike.
Yes, the gameplay was all right. For me, it was the like everyone said, it was the camera angle. I hated the camera angle in this game because, like like you said, you die like 99% of the time due to the stupid camera. But like with how you can like choose good or evil, I really love that about the movie. Like with me, I gave the book to the gremlin to prove that Pete wasn't a total asshole. So basically I did that. But I did not know that
God damn it.
you could use paint on the boss. So I used like paint thinner, just destroying the crap out of it. But overall, the gameplay is okay. Yeah, the they going back to the camera angle, they should have um done a better job with it, cause sometimes when you're trying to like jump like from ledge to ledge, like the camera angle is like so off that it's like, oop, you died again. So,
Mm.
but overall, I really enjoyed the gameplay, and the 2D aspect of it was a really good idea, like for the game.
I agree.
But yeah, gameplay wise, so far with the game, like I said, I completed it. I liked the gameplay, and I may be in the minority here or whatever, but I actually didn't mind the cameras. But that may be because one of my favorite types of game, even though I've got a couple, one of my favorite types of game is like Mario. I'm used to the 3D platformers, therefore the cameras nowadays are just like second nature to me, if that makes sense. But I could understand how other people may be annoyed by it. But overall, I enjoyed the gameplay, and I think they did a load of things well. However, next up we shall go to.
Extras.
So as you saw there, that takes us into extras, and take us away for extras, James Phoenix.
Fair enough. I haven't looked at a whole lot of the extras in the game, but they do throw a lot of cool things in there. There are 2 exclusive actual cartoons that you can watch in the extras menu, as well as a lot of artwork that's unlockable to collect throughout the course of the game as you collect pins and film reels from the various levels, you can unlock additional stuff like that there. In addition to collecting the film reels, you can turn them in at the theater in Mean Street, which is the primary hub area, to unlock additional items for your journey or get tickets, which are the currency, etc., etc. There's also a lot of I don't know if to call them extras, but there's a lot of things like little reference. I don't know. Never mind.
Easter eggs.
Yeah, a lot of Easter eggs referencing Disney, things like that. Stuff you see around that may not be directly something like. I mean, even stuff that's not necessarily directly Easter eggs. It's just a lot of fun little stuff like,
The
for example, like
cartridges.
when you like what?
Sorry, I thought you couldn't think of one after I said the cartridges.
Oh yeah, there's something like on Binky Junk Mountain. There's like Mickey Mouse cartridges and lunch video game carts and lunch boxes and things. When you're in the world that looks like a theme park, there's the little Dumbo ride, which is from Disneyland, and all kinds of cool stuff like that. A lot of Easter eggs in there that make the game a little fun. They're kind of extras, and I'm not sure what else is in that extras menu, but a lot of cool stuff.
Okay, and now Mike.
Basically, I don't really have any opinion on the X. Oh, yes, I do. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I did love how the when you go to the theme park, I did really enjoy like seeing the different like rides, like Phoenix said with the Dumbo ride and the Mad Teacup ride. It brings back your childhood, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I haven't really got that far yet, but just the little things like seeing like all the um people from like Pete and stuff and how they're in this game, it just brings back your childhood.
I can agree with that.
I agree.
And now, Geeky Girl.
Well, for collectibles, there's a whole ton of them. They don't exactly do anything, but they're very shiny and pretty cool to look at. And once you see it, it's like coins. Oh, I have to go get it, even if I have to die a lot of times. Because like, especially with me, I'm like crazy OCD. Got to collect everything. That's why at least in this game, I'm glad I don't become overcumbered.
So it's shiny, useless, and doesn't add much. It's like the Xbox achievements.
Oh.
Oh,
There's silver pins, bronze pins, golden pins, and all the gold pins come in a box, whereas everything else you just kind of pick up.
Yeah.
And you get all the film reels from every 2D level, which I like. That is really cool. Those are like the only thing I think that's worth collecting. And then you get the little cartoons in the movie theater, which are also fun. But like I said, the best thing is just the cutscene cartoons. Those are the best things. I want to collect all those and rewatch them.
I can agree with that.
And there's
now,
a shop, I was gonna say there's a shop where you can buy even more unnecessary stuff instead of buying practical things.
like ice creams.
Yes.
Things that do nothing.
Yep, and I can agree with that. And now, Marcus Shadow.
To be honest, a lot of the collectibles and stuff, like Geeky Girl said, don't do anything, and that kind of disappoints me. The film reels, I think they missed a big opportunity with that. I was really hoping that if you collected all the film reels pertaining, to a specific cartoon, you'd unlock that cartoon. But no, apparently you only get two, and only two cartoons that you could unlock. And I'm like, really? No, give me more cartoons. Give me a reason to collect stuff. Because like Geeky Girl, I'm the type of gamer that likes to collect things in games like that, games like this, and like to unlock stuff. Um, you should see me in the Batman games. Holy crap! I go after every Riddler trophy. But unlike those games, in this game, the collectibles don't really do anything, and that kind of saddens me.
And I can agree with that. I'm one of those gamers when it comes to stuff like that. If I know it serves a purpose, or I think it serves a purpose, I'll try and collect everything. If I don't really care about what the hell it's gonna do, I don't bother. Like you mentioned, the Batman ones didn't bother with most of the Riddler trophies on some of them. It's like the Spider-Man 2 game. Oh my god, I spent so long getting every single emblem. That might be the game in which broke me. Because I collected all the stuff for it, and I was waiting to get my unlockable costume, and I just got a message of congratulations, you collected them all. And I snapped. That's how I felt. But I'll admit, some of the extras are cool. I like the cartoons that you can unlock. I like going back and watching the video. I like looking at the concept art. There's a nice little bit of extras. I mean, let's face it, extras are there just, well, to be extra, so it's nice to have some.
But I wish they told you that it doesn't do anything in the beginning, because when I first played through this, I spent so much money buying more pins from the shop when I could have been buying power sparks, and oh my god, did that fuck me over when I wasted all this money on stuff I don't even need. And I could have bought power sparks from it. Like, oh.
I will say here, just as a slight possible tease, they did learn from that mistake, and they do stuff in the second game. Ready for when I go to review number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But
And on one other note for, oh no, go ahead, Mo.
no, you go.
I was gonna say as one more note for an extra. There's also an out-of-game extra because if you go to somewhere like Amazon or GameStop, you can buy a Mickey Mouse paintbrush to attachment for your Wii U or your Wii.
Yes, you can.
Oh.
Wow, that's nice.
Essentially it's the same attachment.
Mm-hmm. It is. Supposedly there's one coming out for the Epic Mickey 2 of Oswald's remote thing, but there's some confusion about that from what I heard.
Yeah, but that's extras. Now the final verdict.
The final verdict.
So for final verdict, take us away with the last category, Marcus Shadow.
Well, like I said before, this is a pretty solid platforming game. If you're looking for a good, Mickey Mouse theme or Mickey Mouse current generation game, this is the game you want. It is really good in that respect. However, the lack of any real tangible extras aside from art, but every game in the current generation and the next generation comes with like concept art, so that's nothing new or unique. So really it doesn't have any tangible extras, and the fact that it's being plagued by age old platforming issues, the camera, there's no excuse for that, and it really really drags it down. So on the whole, again, if you're looking for a solid platformer, a good Mickey Mouse game for the current gen, I do recommend picking it up, and I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
And thank you for that. Now, Mikey.
Yeah, overall this game is really cool and it brings back my childhood. And I give it an 8 out of 10. The the reason why I would give it an 8 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10 is going back to the damn cameras.
And fair enough. Now, James Phoenix.
I think overall it's a fun game. The platforming is pretty good aside from the camera issues here and there. As I talked about during the gameplay, the whole thinner versus paint thing is pretty fun. It's a great world to interact with, to go through, to learn about. While there's no dialogue, the cutscenes are still pretty cool, even if they are text only. And overall, it's just a really fun game to play if you're a fan of Mickey, if you might be someone who's either been around long enough to remember a lot of the older Disney stuff or who's read about it. It's certainly worth checking it out. And I can certainly, I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10 also. I can agree.
And fair enough. And Geeky Girl.
The best and worst thing about this game was that I wanted it. I love the story. I love it so much, which makes me crazy that it suffers terribly from like the technical aspects. And it makes me think like that's kind of like they could have had so much better. They could have done so much more with this concept if they stuck with the original concept of more changing good and evil with the environment. And
Now, this game
If
had
you
a
want
lot of potential. They tried to do a lot of stuff, but they didn't do any of it well.
a lot of it got cut on the cutting room floor. So if you want to play a Mickey game, just platforming, and you want to be introduced, it'll explain everything. Even has a extra explanatory mode. I give go ahead and play it. I give this a 6.5.
And fair enough. And my final verdict, presentation wise, I was disappointed with the concept. I wanted to mention this earlier but didn't. I didn't like the fact there's no voice acting for the cutscenes. I mean, it's meant to be current Mickey Mouse, who's famous for doing stuff like current Mickey Mouse, for hosting stuff like the House of Mouse or Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse and stuff, in which he constantly speaks. So giving him no voice, it's not current Mickey Mouse, in my opinion.
Play my game.
Exactly. And like they've touched upon, some of the moral stuff could have been done a little bit better, but wasn't. It seems like a great game, but it seems like they just got either a little bit lazy, or B, were limited by what the Wii itself could do. Either way, I'm probably gonna have to give it a. I'm gonna go 7 out of 10. I'll go a little higher. I will give it. Actually, no, I will go a little higher. I'll give it a. I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna agree with Mike. I'm gonna give it an 8. Because to be fair, the game did enough. The game did stuff right enough that it made me straight away before I'd finished buying it run out by the sequel. So it did a good job. I'm gonna give it an 8, not a 7, 8. But on that note, that was the end. Thanks to everyone for joining me today,
You're welcome.
and catch me soon for other reviews. And so take care. See ya.